Alright, I think I've got everything set up here. Greetings, chat. Yep. Alright. Alright, so let me see. Just making sure everything is fully updated with all of our notes and information from last time. Alright, that looks good. Cool. Oh, that needs a little bit there. How is that do? Alright, alright. Um, cool. Looks like everything is all good on all of my different sides here. So, hello, welcome back. Glad to see you. Hope you're having a great day today. So where last we left off, we talked about all of the different changes to the Duelist class that I made in my notes during some downtime since our last couple of streams. And then we just and then I just implemented them into the Duelist class here onto our core rule book. The one thing that we did not do, however, is complete the 10th level feature here. We don't even have a name for it yet. But in short, this is we end the calling card condition early, and it does something big. Hang on a second. Is the music coming through? Oh, it does. Seems to be. Let me see if I can do a slight bump there so that it shows up. Alright, is that good? Yeah, no, let's swap around. Nah. This one's always pretty good. Alright. Yeah, we'll stick with this one here. Okay. 10th level feature here for the Duelist class. We just need to come up with the features. I have them written down. They are in my big journal right here. Right on this page. How am I? They're right over here. There we go. All right. Then we also want to come up with different names and such for those different abilities, just so it's a fun thing you can call out in combat there. So, when you would steal a calling card with a momentum value of 10 or higher from an opponent, you can choose to end the calling card condition instead of transferring it. When you end the calling card condition in this manner, you gain your choice of one of the following effects. Name and name text. At the start of your next turn, you create a new instance of the calling card condition with an initial momentum value equal to your presence modifier. Simple enough there. Alright, so your attack. Because the thing here is, it's a little bit annoying that the way that this class works is the stealing and planting happens after your damage is resolved. Like it has to work that way, otherwise you can't just, so you don't cash in on it necessarily twice per turn. When you end the calling card condition in this manner, so actually theoretically you're already attacking them. You're dealing damage to them already based on having a high momentum value. So you're dealing your bonus damage anyway. You're then going to, you would transfer it to yourself, but you instead to just end the condition and say this is your final days here or something like that. Something dramatic. So the target of your attack becomes vulnerable. All incoming damage until the start of your next turn. Boom. If the creature has damage, resistances, or immunities, it does not benefit from those hang on, because let's jump ahead, and because we have a feature here for the Sorcerer class that actually already strips away damage resistances and immunities. So let's just go ahead and check the language there. This is a bit of a, oh, that's not the Sorcerer. Sorcerer. Your damage ignores resistances. So that's not actually useful. Like I thought it would be. Okay. Those conditions, effects, don't want to say resistances and immunities. Has damage resistances or immunities. Being dealt. Attacks that deal damage that would be resisted. The creature has damage resistances or immunities. It doesn't benefit from those resistances, and instead it deals base damage. Does not gain resistance, immunity. While vulnerable. To those damage types. Wow. Vulnerable. Attacks. Okay, attacks would be resist. Attacks that deal damage would be resisted in this manner. Instead, deal damage as if resisted in this, as if creature did not instead deal what? Normal damage? What is normal in this context? The target of your attack becomes vulnerable to all incoming damage until the start of your next turn. Target creature has damage resistances or immunities. Attacks that deal damage that would be resisted in this manner. Instead, deal normal damage. Damage. Not resisted, but not vulnerable. While it is vulnerable in this manner. would be resisted while the target is vulnerable in this mode. Okay, the target of your attack. Vulnerable to all incoming damage until the start of your next turn. If the creature has damage resistances or immunities, attacks that deal damage that would be resisted in this manner. Um, hmm. Attacks that deal damage that would be resisted in this manner deal normal damage while the target damage is not resisted. But is not increased due to vulnerability. Okay, I think that is pretty reasonable there. What do we call this? What do we call this ability? Open bounty. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let's go for the open bounty there. Chat, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Hey? Anything? Dang. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Sorry, if I'm always just kind of looking around here, it's just because I have a little bit of a schedule that I need to take care of outside of streaming here, so I'm just making sure everything is all good on the clock. Such. All right, so our next feature here. Okay, so our second ability here. Sorry. All right. Cool. There we go. All right. Sorry, I had a bot in the chat that I wanted to deal with there on Twitch that wasn't working properly. Or maybe it was. All right. Okay. Focus. That's what I need to do right now. I need to just focus and set. Okay. Okay. So, 10th level feature. We have Open Bounty. That gives vulnerability to damage till the start of next turn. There we go. All is good there. So, our second feature here that you can choose, or that I had drafted up as an idea. You can make a second major action on this turn or your next turn, whichever comes first. When you take this action, you meet. Man, this is a. What if we just. What if we just change things here? The calling card in this manner. Boom. Target of your attack becomes vulnerable to all incoming damage until the start of your next turn. The target is vulnerable. Alright. At the start of your next turn, you gain a new instance of the calling card condition with an initial momentum value equal to your presence modifier. Okay, so what? So here, let me back up a second and read what the secondary ability is, because the primary function of the secondary ability, I think we can just put onto this trigger here. So our secondary ability here was you can so it was either the inflict vulnerability, or you can make a second major action on this turn or your next turn, whichever comes first. When you take this action, you immediately recover a number of expended hit dice equal to what you would normally recover during a long rest. I think this is a good idea, but it is also kind of breaking things down a little bit. And so I do like the idea of making a second major action as a way to kind of further the damage dealt against this target in a single target environment, or in a single like solo play session where you are the single duelist and you are in single combat. I think that is useful. However, you are not going to be getting the bonus momentum damage to the target because the calling card condition has ended. So you would be making your standard attack, attacking, dealing damage, calling card condition ends, and then you would make a second attack while you either create the card condition on yourself or something else. So that ends up being you just deal base damage for a melee weapon attack against the target. So the main feature of this ability would be you gain hit dice back, which is strong. So let's go ahead and add that hit die clause to the to the creation of the new calling card condition here. To your presence modifier, and you get hit dice back. So let's go ahead and jump over to our core rulebook here and look at the exact language we use when we talk about recovering hit dice. Hit points, healing, willpower, and death. Hit dice. Player characters recover all expended hit dice when they were completely long rest. Well, that's not what I was hoping. Because I thought I had kept some of that from 5e. Let me see here. Resting and recovery. Okay, so let's go ahead over to our 5e SRDs. And just kind of get the wording from there. I can't wait for this website to get an update with the 5.5 rules. Because, I mean, it is open now. It is CC. Because it is so useful. I believe it's under adventuring here. Go away, you stupid app. I don't want to deal with you. I'm not installing your scammy browser. Okay, so hit points, where are you? Hit points. That's for objects. Okay, oh, because it was under objects, idiot. Character can spend hit dice during a short rest. At the end of a long rest, character regains all hit points. Character also regains his spent hit dice up to a number of dice equal to half the character's total number of them. Minimum of 1 die. Okay. You also regain expended hit dice up to a number equal to half of your total half of your maximum. Regain up. Hang on, this is a 10th level ability. We can just say regain up to 5 expended hit dice. We can just say that. We don't have to. I mean, it would be nice to have this scale because legendary classes are a thing in the future, and that's going to have hit dice on its own. Up to a number equal to half character's level. You also regain expended hit dice up to a number equal to half your character's level, or 5. The answer is 5. It's a 10th level feature here. Legendary classes aren't going to be part of the core. So we can just say 5, right? Right. Regain up to 5 expended entities. Of your expended. Boom. When you create this new column card, you also there we go. I think that is probably going to be the best way to just do that. There. Boom. Let's go ahead and just plop this right on over into our core document. Because we also have our vestige feature, which is nice. Excuse me. Alright, alright. So that is the 10th level feature there. And once again, we're going to be tackling vestige features once we've got all of the classes finished up. So that way we have all of the text and the mechanics done. And once we also probably take a look into weapons and weapon properties and features in that way. So that way we can make it work. Just kind of as one cohesive thing. All right. All right. I think we're in a good spot there. So, I think that's going to close everything out on the Duelist for now, or at least until we come back and do more with its subclasses. So, let's hit the other thing in our to-do list here, which is the Sorcerer. Oh, the Sorcerer. I love the Sorcerer. So, sorcery here is, again, a slightly more complicated heroic resource, but it's a really good thematic way to handle sorcery. So here, let me go ahead and just kind of read this. Hang on one quick second here. All right, all right, all right. I am back. Sorry about that. I had to answer a quick message there. I might have to actually be ending stream early today to run over. Okay, so I've probably got a little bit of time. Maybe about an hour or so. Maybe about a half hour or so. We'll see. We're going to kind of have to see and play it by ear. So let me go ahead and talk. Let's go ahead and talk about sorcery here. So, as a sorcerer, you have been infused with raw magical power. Sorcerers can tap into this power, attempting to balance and bind their will to it. In your studies and training, you have learned to harness your magical potential in the form of sorceress investitures. These are your standard kind of heroic resource and special attack sort of thing. Your sorceress ability is represented by your sorcery die, a confluence of your will and the chaotic nature of magic. Through this die, you generate sorcery points, slivers of magical potential used to manifest your abilities. A sorceress investiture is a set of sorceress investitures. A sorceress investiture is a set of disciplines and maneuvers representing a sorcerer's ability to shape the world around them. Sorcerers master only a few investitures at a time, choosing from the investitures list. At first level, you know one of your choice. The investitures known column of the sorcerer table shows the total number of investitures known at each level. In addition, whenever you complete an extended rest, you can replace one you know with a different one of your choice. While you use your spellcraft modifier when manifesting sorceress investitures, investitures are not spells or other magical effects and cannot be dispelled or countered through means of spellcraft. Hang on, let's jump over to the wizard here, because once again, I want to make sure that this kind of lines up with things that they can't do and such. Okay, so counterspell. Trigger spellcraft with a verbal, somatic, or material. So right now, as far as different classes that are kind of able to resist counter spells, we only have a few spellcasting classes in this game. We have the Anointed, which is a divine half-caster, and so it can be hit with counterspell because its special attacks are spells. Berserker is a melee class. Duelist is a melee class. Pugilist is a melee class. Ranger will get some spells, but they're more of along the lines of like a half-caster or a third caster, but it would be natural, and so it is subject to counter spells. Sorcerer right now is a magic caster that is not subject to counter spells because investitures can't be countered. The Speaker is a magic class that is all about spells, and so they're going to be casting spells. The Warlord does not cast spells. The Wizard obviously does. So yeah, right now the one exception for counterspell here on the Wizard is the Sorcerer class, which does kind of make sense in a way because the Sorcerer is tapping into this sort of raw magical potential that is maybe not even fully known to them. It is this sort of chaos. And counterspell is you recognize the inherent nature and components of the spell, and that's how you counter it. You're like, I recognize Find Familiar, breaks. Sorry, you don't get a pet. The only other class that I can think of that would be inherently resistant to a counterspell is, if we go over to my expansion ideas here, that would probably be the Cognizant. Okay, so I have this actually written up. It's just elsewhere right now. But yeah, the Cognizant is our psionics caster here, similar to like the talent in Draw Steel, or I mean, there really aren't that many good psionic classes other than like the talent. I do think that the whatchamacallit, the updated Scion for 5th edition is interesting, but I'm gonna let you in a secret here. I really love what they were doing with the Mystic class back in a very old Unearthed Arcana. I really like that class, and I think a bit of its design has seeped into the Sorcerer in the form of kind of the investitures. Because the Mystic, it was a lot of things to juggle. It was a lot of plates to keep spinning. And that's kind of why it became not really feasible to go forward. But damn. I've played that class a couple of times. It's pretty dang fun. It's really cool. So I think having a precedent in this core rulebook of a class that can't be counterspelled is a good thing, especially since we're going to have at least one. Yeah, the Idontalist is a summoner, so it's going to have some spells, but it's mostly not going to be a spell slinger. The Mechanist might have some. Those might be half casters, similar to the Anointed. Shaman, definitely going to be a spellcaster focused class. Warden, probably not. And the Astrologer might be a spellcaster focused. Yeah. Once again, those need a lot more work. But like, if this game does well, you're probably going to see some of those classes show up in a core rulebook 2 or something like that. But yeah, a little bit of teasing there for the future in a similar way to what I was saying with the whatchamacallit, the Erasetum Station, when we were talking about the plane of elemental water. There's some future stuff that I have planned for this system. So yeah. Right now, I think we're going to keep that Sorceress Investitures can't be counterspelled because it's a different type of action. It's not a spell. Okay. So, Sorcery Die. A sorcerer's control over magic is represented by their sorcery die. At first level, your sorcery die is a d6. When you reach certain levels as a sorcerer, it grows as an arcane practitioner. The maximum size of your sorcery die increases as shown on the table. As you strain yourself in battle and practices, your sorcery die fluctuates in size. When you exit an arcane overload, your sorcery die decreases in decreases in size one level to a minimum of a d4. When you complete a long rest, your sorcery die increases in size one level up to your maximum sorcery die size. When you complete an extended rest, your sorcery die is restored to its maximum size. So we start out at a d6 here, and then it goes down to d4. Then long rest, it goes back to d6. At 10th level here, you have a d12. Arcane Overload, it decrements to a d10. Arcane Overload again, it decrements to d8, d6, then to d10, and then all the way back up over a period of long rests. Sorcery points. As a sorcerer, you command the world around you through your innate connection to magic and your resilience as a mage. This arcane fluency is represented by sorcery points. Sorcery points are a dynamic resource. You know it's a heroic. This is the heroic resource part of the heroic resource. So generating sorcery points. When you complete a long rest or an extended rest, you gain sorcery points equal to your presence ability up to your sorcery point maximum. Whenever you make an attack roll with a sorceress investiture and roll the highest or lowest number on a damage die, you gain 1 sorcery point. For example, when you deal 2d6 damage through one of your sorceress investitures, you generate 1 sorcerer point whenever you roll either a 1 or a 6 on either die, generating a maximum of 2 points from the attack. So you start the day with a number of sorcery points. Yes. So that basically means you can kind of go Nova earlier on. Cool. Expending sorcery points. Each sorceress investiture describes a supernatural effect you can manifest by expending a certain number of sorcery points. Okay. Arcane Overload. So this is the thing here. During an Arcane Overload, when a sorcerer ends their turn with more sorcery points than the maximum value of their sorcery die, up to their sorcery point maximum. That would be... Where did I just... Maximum value of their current sorcery die. They enter an Arcane Overload. For every turn thereafter, their number of sorcery points is decreased. Arcane Overload ends when you begin your turn with 0 sorcery points. During an Arcane Overload, you gain the following effects. Charismatic Expression. You have advantage on charisma-based ability checks. On charisma-based ability challenges, for one. Sorceress Degeneration. When a sorcerer ends their turn during an Arcane Overload, they decrease their current number of sorcery points by 1d4 and take fire damage equal to the number of sorcery points lost. Sorry, my Twitch over here was showing some funkiness there. Ooh, one of my Amazon packages shipped. Neat. Equal to the number of sorcery points lost. Yes, so that means you're going to take 1 to 4 fire damage at the end of each of your turns, which is not great. It's a balance thing. So right now we have them at a D8. I'm going to just reflexively 1d10. Just give them a little bit more of a bump. So, hang on, let's think this through. Constitution bonus of +3. That means we're starting with 13 hit points plus probably one of the mage or commoner backgrounds. So that's going to get us either 2d6 or 2d8. Let's take the 2d6 at base. 3.5, 3.5. So 7. 13 plus 7. That's going to start us with 20 hit points plus any number of temporary hit points. So entering an arcane overload here, we're going to take 4 hit points per turn. Well, 1 to 4 hit points per turn, which is still a lot. Because right now we do have both endurance and presence as thrown into the spellcraft column. So that makes the sorcerer both the con sorcerer that D&D 5e wants it to be, and the charisma sorcerer that it is. So we can use, which is great. And then our focus is with con and... Why is it your choice of strength, wisdom, or charisma? No, it should just be con and charisma, right? Right? Because we don't have any nickname conventions there. Yeah, let's go ahead and just change that. Okay. Sorcerer here. As a sorcerer, you gain focus with your constitution and charisma. Ability scores. There we go. No need to have any of that other stuff there. It just works. There we go. Okay, so con and charisma are what you need to be a sorcerer. And honestly, it's con or charisma. So honestly, the sorcerer will probably have a slightly higher con, so if it's d10 plus maybe even up to 5. So that's 15 plus, let's say, 7. The other option would be the 9. 7 or... No, yeah, 7 or 9. So 15 plus 7, that's 22 hit points at start. Or, 24 hit points at start. Plus the possibility of temporary hit points. Take fire damage equal to the number of sorcery points lost. That triggers, so yeah. Decrease their number of sorcery points by 1d4. I think we're going to get rid of the degeneration there. Dang, I guess I kind of like it. I kind of like it. While you're in Arcane Overload, you gain additional benefits. Okay. Because right now we had the punishment by hit point loss there, which I kind of like, but I get why it might be a bit rough. But what this incentivizes us doing is burning more sorcery points to try and generate more sorcery points. within Arcane Overload so we can continue the Arcane Overload effect. So it becomes this attempt to balance this chaos, which I think is better. I think right now, by having that degeneration there, we were fixing it in a way that wasn't useful. Like, we were pushing people away from entering Arcane Overload. And we do want people to enter Arcane Overload. It's just going to be hard to maintain a large number of sorcery points within it. So what you want to do, like going Nova as a sorcerer should be pretty doable. Okay, so we get rid of the hit points lost there. So that way we can bring it back to a D8 sorcerer as their hit die. So we lose 1d4 hit points. So we start with 1d. We start with presence up to our maximum. So maximum will always be 86, right? Because you exit a long rest, you're going to go up one die. So you either start with a d6 at first level here, or you have overloaded yourself and are in the process of recovery, but you end a long rest, and so therefore you get one back. So you automatically are going to have a maximum of 6. So your presence, or no, it would be start with your presence. So long as your presence isn't a +6, which I don't think there is a way to just kind of get that tiny bump that's going to make it from a maximum of +5 to a +6. Okay. Right now, as it stands, of course. So you'll start with, like, let's say 5 sorcery points. You throw those 5 sorcery points out fast. You go Nova. You roll a lot of dice. You either get maximum or minimums. That will determine what happens to it. Man, this class could either work really well, or it could just, man. Okay. Because right now, Sorceress Investitures cost sorcery points. What if they didn't? Then we couldn't start with a sorcery point amount. You'd have to build up to it. You'd enter Arcane Overload, and then you'd be fighting to keep it higher. What if Sorceress Investitures did not cost sorcery points? I mean, because we have meta magic that costs sorcery points. Well, if Sorceress Investitures don't cost sorcery points, then you're automatically going to hit Arcane Overload no matter what. I'm going to be thinking about this. I actually have to head out now. I need to go pick someone up. I don't have to pick someone up. I have to pick my girlfriend up from her work, just because they are closing down a little bit early today. And so I have to go run there. I will be back in just a bit, hopefully. And I will be kind of chatting along the way, talking about how sorcerers work. Or at least thinking on the road. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you around. Take care.